The thrill of the rides.
The shrieks of the kids.
The smiles of everyone.
The smell of the popcorn.
And the memories made.
These are all things you may see, hear, or experience by going to Disneyland. We all have been touched by Disney, whether it was through a movie, a television show, or by going to one of the actual amusement parks themselves. Disney has touched many lives today through his businesses and by just being the man he is today. First, Troy and I will cover the history of Walt Disney. Second, Natalie will show us how his career got started. And third, Ellie and Katie will explain how his company still thrives today. Walt Disney, the man himself, is a legend. According to NotableBiographies.com, he grew up in Chicago and was born on December 5th of 1901. The aforementioned goes on to say that he was the fourth of 5 children of Elias and Flora Disney. He had 3 brothers and 1 sister. They grew up on a farm, according to NotableBiographies.com. He also accidentally killed an owl when he was a young boy. This is where he found his love for animals because he did feel guilty of it. And this was according to IMDb.com, copyright 2012.
He then became interested in drawing and started drawing at a young age of 7. He was then selling them to neighbors, which is outstanding at a young age of 7, according to the official Disney website, copyright 2012. The farm eventually failed, causing the Disney family to move several times. Walt often had to sell new candy and newspaper to help support his family. He did this at the train station with his dad, states the NotableBiographies.com, who goes on to say that while Walt was in high school, he contributed to school newspaper by both drawings and photography. He was not just interested in drawings, but more in the fine arts. Walt was only 16 years old when he attempted to enlist into the military service, according to IMDb.com. He's 16 years old. That's only a sophomore and he attempted. However, he was rejected the first time. The following year, as a junior, he volunteered for the Red Cross, dropped out of high school, and went overseas to serve in World War I as an ambulance driver for 1 year. What was unusual about his ambulance, though, was it wasn't covered in camouflage, but in cartoon drawings from front to back. While he was overseas, he loved to draw, and that didn't stop him. Just because he was that far from home, he still loved to draw and express his great love for cartoon drawings, states the official Disney website, who goes on to say that during Walt's career, he found an employee that he's quite fond of, named Lillian Bounds. They fell in love shortly after and got married in 1925 in Lewiston, Idaho. The two of them, Walt and Lillian, had 2 daughters, Diane and Sharon, who were heavily involved in their company. Sharon, the second of the 2, however, was adopted. Walt and Lillian also had a son, according to IMDb.com, but he died from a young age from polio. Walt was not just strictly a businessman, he also wanted to help the young artists develop their drawing skills. It's a principal thing I hope to leave when I move on to greener pastures, Walt once said. In 1966, Walt established the California Arts Institute, a college level of art, states the official Disney website. Throughout Walt's career, he was seen with a famous mustache that many of us had all seen and could recognize if we saw it. However, he forbid his employees to wear it. He felt he wanted to promote the clean-cut image that he thought that his company had, states IMDb.com, who goes on to say, Walt was also a chain smoker. Many of us do not know this because he avoided smoking in public areas, and he did not want to be seen as a smoker. During Walt's last couple of months, he was battling lung cancer, but still tried to run and better his empire. In November of 1966, Walt entered the St. Joseph Medical Hospital. It is here where he had x-rays done and found out he had entirely cancerous lung. He had surgery removing it the next day. A couple of days later, he checked out of the hospital and went back to his company, of course, to help it run his empire. He had some loose ends and some other things he had to tie up. He even wrote letters to all of his employees stating exactly what he expected of them when he was going to be gone. Walt died on December 15, 1966, 2 months later after he had his cancer found. Walt was only 65 years old, states IMDb.com. The urban legend states on NotableBiographies.com that Walt was cryogenically frozen. However, this is false. Walt was cremated. To help understand Walt's great success, we need to learn a little bit more about the start of his career.
The start of Walt's career introduced a new age in the entertainment industry. Walt had a fairly successful beginning to his profession. He met his first long-term partner of iWorks, and they decided to start a company together. States a Walt Disney article found on WaltDisney.com, copyright 2012. The partners named their company Laugh-O-Grams, which is also the name of the animated cartoon sketches they created for advertising. The aforementioned goes on to state that both Walt and iWorks created several pilot films. These were a series of short fairy tales known as Alice in Cartoonland. This was also found in a Walt Disney article found on the Net Industries website, copyright 2012. Laugh-O-Grams eventually went bankrupt, but neither man was discouraged. Both Walt and iWorks were determined to make a name for themselves. Walt's second attempt in the entertainment industry proved to be more successful than his previous attempt. Convincing his brother Roy to help the partners out, they set up shop in Hollywood. States the Net Industry website. They actually set up shop in the garage of the Walt brothers' uncles, which is amazing. The first character this new group created, states WaltDisney.com, is Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. Though this little rabbit helped in jump-starting the company, he was long forgotten as a new character hit the scene. Mickey, originally known as Mortimer, was created and would change the lives of these three men forever, states the Voice of America website, copyright 2007. This amazing little mouse first appeared in the cartoon Steamboat Willie. Steamboat Willie was the first all-sound, talking, and music cartoon. The WaltDisney.com website goes on to say that the next thing the company created was Silly Symphonies. Then came The Three Little Pigs. The creation of this classic tale in cartoon form was ironic because of what was going on at the time it was created. It was introduced during the Great Depression, where the Big Bad Wolf represented the falling economy. Though the partners were doing quite well, they were unable to meet the high demands they were under with such a small working assembly. After the expansion of the studio, the company took off and created a name for the man behind the mouse. As found on biographies.com, copyright 2012, the students of the new training school made possible the first feature full-length animated film, Snow White. The next big project the company worked on, says WaltDisney.com, was Fantasia, which is described as the coming to life of colors and cartoons through different pieces of classical music. The Voice of America website goes on to say that though this movie is now considered a classic, at the time it was created and introduced, it was a washout. A strike of the company's animators occurred in 1941, states WaltDisney.com. The reason behind the strike was Walt Disney himself. Troy already mentioned that Walt had a mustache but would not let his employees have one. Well, the same issue occurred with smoking. We already discussed that Walt was a heavy smoker, but he did not allow any of his employees to partake in the same activity. These paradoxes caused the animators to go on strike. Walt's involvement with the war came about again in World War II, states WaltDisney.com. The company created propaganda, which allowed for animation and live action to combine for the very first time. The next big project the company worked on, says biographies.com, was Pinocchio. This is considered Walt's highest point in animation. It took 2.5 million drawn-out sketches to create this cartoon. Walt had an amazing career during his lifetime, and his empire has flourished into something even greater.
Walt Disney died December 15th, 1966, but his company still thrives today. Disney Corporation has branched off not only into new career paths, but also into not just in media, but also into research, education, and travel. Lizzie McGuire, Even Stevens, and Boy Meets World are just some of the many Disney-owned TV shows that we all grew up with. Disney Channel was started back in 1983, according to the WaltDisneyCompany.com, last updated April 26, 2012. But Boy Meets World actually originally appeared on ABC Channel, not on the Disney Channel. Well, it's owned by Disney because Disney actually owns ABC Channel. ABC, according to DisneyABCTV.com, last updated 2012. Disney does not only own ABC, but they also own ABC Family, SoapNet, and they have strong equity holdings in A&E Entertainment. This just shows how involved Disney is in the media that we all watch on TV. Disney, even after Walt's death, Disney also came up with some great movies that we all grew up with also. Lion King, The Little Mermaid, and Toy Story are just some of the most successful movies since Walt's death, and they might even be more successful than the movies he put out, according to the WaltDisney.com. Many of the movies were also adapted into Broadway musicals, starting in 1994 with Beauty and the Beast, according to the aforementioned. In 2006, Disney Company acquired Pixar Animations, which allowed them to make great innovations and had new and fun ideas. Disney was also very, very heavily involved after Walt's death in research and education. Disney Institute was created in 1986, according to the DisneyInstitute.com, last updated in 2009. And this helped young artists with animation, sound technology, and helped them further their business careers. Disney was also heavily involved in research, according to the DisneyResearch.com, last updated 2012. After Walt's death, many innovations came about, such as the multi-plane camera, audio animatronics, Circle Vision 360, and Fanasound. The multi-plane camera itself was a great innovation for the Disney company. They used different panes, or the multi-plane camera used different panes of glass with different animations on each. And it allowed for the background and the foreground to be used multiple times so that the animators wouldn't have to redraw over and over again. This saved a lot of time for the animators and allowed them to focus on other details of the production. Circle Vision 360 was also a great invention after Walt's death. This used 9 cameras and 9 screens and rotated around in a circle. This is utilized in many of the Disney theme parks. Though it's not heavily used as it used to be then, it's still used in many of them in the United States and a couple overseas, according to the DisneyResearch.com, last updated 2012. Disney Research itself was developed in 2008 and allows many advances in electronic technology, even robotics, and sound and animation, according to the DisneyResearch.com, last updated 2012.
Although Walt did not live to see the final results of Walt Disney World, his ideas prospered. According to MousePlanet.com, published by MousePlanet Incorporated, copyright 2012, Walt found that the East Coast could support an even bigger Disney park, and the planning of Walt Disney World began. As found on MousePlanet.com, Walt secretly began buying land in Florida during the presentation of 4 new Disney rides. According to the aforementioned, the success of Mary Poppins provided sufficient funds to go towards Walt Disney World. Even though Walt died, he had people that continued his dream. According to MousePlanet.com, Walt's brother Roy postponed his retirement and started the construction of another Magic Kingdom. According to the previous mentioned, soon after the opening of Walt Disney World, Roy retired and the vice president of the Walt Disney Company took everything over. According to History.com, published by A&E Television Networks, last updated in 2011, during the final 18 months before opening, 1 million guests visited the preview center of Walt Disney World. As stated on the previous mentioned, Walt Disney World opened in 1971 with only Magic Kingdom. According to AngelFire.com, last updated in 2012, published by Lycos Incorporated, it started with 23 new attractions, which included 6 themes: Liberty Square, Adventureland, Frontierland, Tomorrowland, Fantasyland, and Main Street. According to the aforementioned, Walt Disney World was built on 30,500 acres in the heart of Central Florida. And this is enough land that can hold 5,500 buildings in just one area. According to the previous mention, Magic Kingdom covers 107 of these acres, Epcot covers 300, and MGM Studios covers 154, while Animal Kingdom covers over 500 acres. According to BusinessInsider.com, published by Business Insider Incorporated, last updated 2012. In 2016, a new Disneyland park is expected to be open in Shanghai. This will combine traditional Disney attractions with Chinese influences to make just an overall big resort, according to the previous mentioned. As stated on BusinessInsider.com, it is expected to be 3 times the size of the nearest Disneyland park, which opened in Hong Kong in 2005. Just like there's expected to be a Walt Disney World in Shanghai, as you can see, there are Walt Disney Worlds all over the world, including ones in the US, which many of us have either heard about, seen on TV, or even been to. Walt has made his mark on land as well as on water. According to CruiseLineJobGuide.com, published by Alexa Publications, copyright 2009, in 1998, Walt Disney Company's first cruise ship, Disney Magic, set off. According to disneycruise.disney.go.com, a Disney website, last updated in 2012, there are 4 Disney cruise ships called the Disney Magic, the Disney Wonder, the Disney Fantasy, and the Disney Dream. These ships go to places like the Caribbean, Northern Europe, the Mediterranean, the Mexican Riviera, and even Alaska. According to HiddenMickeys.org, published by T.R. Shaw, copyright in 2007, over 500,000 people sail on these cruise ships annually. As stated on CruiseLineJobGuide.com, an island called Castaway Cay provides for an exclusive port for all of these Disney ships. This island was purposely made to look like a deserted island, as stated on the previous mentioned. According to HiddenMickeys.org, it took 18 months and 50,000 truckloads of sand to make it look deserted.
First, Troy and I covered the history of Walt Disney. Second, Natalie showed us how his career got started. Third, Ellie and Katie showed us how his companies still thrive today. Although Walt Disney may no longer be with us, he is still touching the hearts of many people today. We will leave you with the famous slogan of Walt Disney, which has been with us through the parks, through the cruises, and through the movies. Where dreams come true.